Looks right to me. To put it simply, Empire Earth is like a super Age of Empires. In a single game you could go from leading an army of cavemen to an army of robots. The scale of it was insane. It did incredibly well at launch. Most reviews were good and it got a few Game of the Year awards, and best of all for the studio, it sold over 1 million copies. It ended up getting a spiritual successor, and then there were 2 sequels, but those were varied. Nowadays you don't hear too much about Empire Earth. The first game does have its fair share of problems, but that's not the issue here. A lot of people run into issues just trying to run the thing. Especially the expansion. If the games don't freeze in the menu, there are other problems. This goes for the GOG version and physical copies. The way to fix it is so simple it's aggravating. Let's begin. Some people on Windows 7 say they can run it perfectly fine with no problems, and other people can't. I tried it on my laptop and I can't. The ways I could get it working on there wouldn't let me record it easily and had other problems. For example, check out Legolas. That's a fast arm. Everyone shoots at a Kenyan murder machine fire rate now. It does technically run, but it's nearly unplayable. You can use a free program called 3D Analyze to force your pixel shaders to 1.1, which does work, but I can't record it. So that's good for a regular player, but not for me. There's a multiplayer patch called Neo Empire Earth, which can fix it, but it has its own share of problems. I'll return to this later, but if you're on Windows 10, this won't automatically fix it anyhow. So I had to go on a journey. This is a real website. It's not a joke I made for the video. It's hard to comprehend exactly what I found, but I had to pass in the secret to beat aliens to be here. Now you would think that a website like this would be a dead end, but I swear to God, the night after I went here I had a dream, or maybe a vision. I tried to run this game in every compatibility mode I could think of, except Windows 8. The game won't even start to run on Windows 8. So I thought, what the hell, why not? That fixed it perfectly, for both games. The graphics bugging out is easy too. Just set your acceleration to TNL and you're good to go. It won't work on real Windows 8, but set it to that mode, and it works. So now that it's playable, let's start by looking at the graphics. For being a 3D RTS from 2001, it still looks very nice. Sprites typically age better than 3D models, so I thought it'd be a lot worse. It still can get rough, particularly with the character models. You can zoom in really far and some look okay. Others are downright terrifying. It appears to be a low-resolution photo of a person smiling just stretched out. It's especially apparent in the cutscenes when you have a character speaking and they're just smiling. Seeing as this is an RTS game, it affects the campaign the most, but doesn't matter too much outside of it. Units have good, easily readable profiles from the top, and that's what matters to me. Even if you do zoom in more, it's usually fine. You'll know when you've gone too far.
I'm the Joker, baby!
What really impresses me is how consistent the art style remains throughout all the ages. You never have that moment where something looks way worse or looks like it was drawn by a different artist or just feels off. Seeing as there are 14 epics in total, that's an incredible feat. It really reminds me of the phrase, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Units and buildings may change, but they're still recognizable. The maps even have a day-night cycle, which unfortunately doesn't affect gameplay, but it looks nice. The visuals don't blow my socks off or anything, but they do their job right. With the sheer scale this game operates on, this could have been a disaster. I guess that's why I don't have a lot to say about the art style. It maintains the same quality throughout the ages, but the sounds are a little different. The sound effects have a lot of stock sounds. There's a fair amount of effects made for the game, but it's hard to tell the difference between them. We're once again in the this isn't great but it's adequate territory. There's a bit of irony with that when it comes to the music. For example, the main theme is amazing. Then you have tracks like this, which are less exciting. Don't get me wrong, it's pleasant, just not very memorable. Or so I thought. Years later, several television networks would buy up a bunch of these songs. History Channel, Animal Planet, CBS, the list goes on. If you want to hunt for it, there are certain episodes of Ancient Aliens that have Empire Earth music. So some of the background tracks were so dull and so inoffensive that they essentially became stock music. For years I'd watch documentaries and start thinking about Empire Earth and thought I was going crazy. Maybe there are others out there who went through something similar, and now you know why. So aside from the theme, there wasn't a whole lot that stood out. The voice acting, however, is phenomenal.
I come to you to make a plea for assistance. If you consent to help, I shall reward you handsomely when I am Duke.
Very well, young William. You shall have our help, and may God be with us.
It's perfect.
What has happened? I'm losing control. The engine is dying.
No fear. It is stupid, after all, to die so needlessly a hero's death.
This is the primest cut of voice acting ham you could hope for. It doesn't matter how talented they are really trying with every line. Have you ever heard someone be aggressively French?
What be your business in our fair town?
How about this?
Now for some sport.
Leave her alone, you swine!
Germans? To arms! To arms!
There's more ham than a Spirited Away cosplay meet. This is the ideal formula for making your RTS lines memorable. Over-the-top voice acting, an offensive accent or just the wrong accent, silly writing. All three of these ingredients blend together perfectly. Some of these lines have been burned into my brain and I don't think I can ever forget them.
Yeah? Sehr gut. Your target? Of course, yeah. What sport?
Yakisoba. Ayacha.
Yoyachi!
A chest indeed, dropped no doubt by an inattentive traveler. And look inside, a shiny sword and cloth to bandage my wounds. My lord, the small force we currently have will be no match for Napoleon. We must enlarge our infantry and dragoon divisions and assemble a suitable number of cannon.
Here.
So looking at the presentation as a whole, it's pretty good. Colorful graphics with colorful characters are good at drawing you in and keep you engaged. Now here's what the game's all about. Like most RTS games, you want to gather, build, and destroy. The way resources are distributed is a little different compared to other RTS games like Age of Empires. Empire Earth is all about preparing you for the long haul. A single tree can hold several buildings worth of wood. That's going to take time to deplete. On the other hand, iron, stone, and gold are near unlimited. A single vein can hold around 300,000 of each resource. That'll last the whole game. Food is a lot more limited. A single patch might only hold a few thousand resources, which will go fairly quickly. Animals only have a few hundred food. If you don't give them time to breed, you can hunt them to extinction. Same thing with fishing sites, very limited. This changes in the third epic, the Copper Age, when you can build farms. Now it's like ore, virtually unlimited food. The farms don't need to be reseeded either. As long as they're not blown up, they can be farmed forever. Here's the kicker. Only 6 people can work a resource node maximum. You can increase the rate by sending your citizens to populate a settlement. This turns it into a town center, which can make its own citizens. Plus it gives bonuses to mined resources right next to it. So now it's more efficient. But you can do it again to turn a town center into a capital, which is even more efficient. If you sacrifice 50 citizens in total, then you'll have the most efficient capital for your mining node. But as things get more expensive, you'll just want to go and capture more nodes. You can probably see where this is going. Empire Earth is a war of attrition. You don't exhaust your resources, you exhaust your people. You don't even need houses to increase your population. It increases morale, represented by the green dots, but that helps units resist damage. Just being in the range of an upgraded settlement building will give a tower a 50% resist to damage. This means that most factions will have a home turf advantage. It's not quite the Turtler's Paradise that Supreme Commander is, but it's close. You need a good variety of units to break a defense, and don't worry, there's a lot. The Gold Edition came with a tech tree and, well, look at it. This isn't for Crusader Kings, it's for an RTS game. Taking it in all at once can feel kind of overwhelming, but luckily you don't have to deal with these all at once. The game has several tutorial missions to teach you with, so it's not that bad. Especially if you've played Age of Empires, there's a lot you'll find familiar. It's the same designer as the first game after all. There are the age-old priest units that can convert enemies. Then there are the prophets. He doesn't convert people, but he's good at throwing malaria. He can also summon controllable hurricanes to make boats go away. He can set buildings on fire with a lightning strike, and those fires will spread fast. He has volcanoes, the list goes on. Going back to the home field advantage aspect, building a temple will protect an area around it from prophets. If you don't want your people being converted, a university will stop that happening inside its boundary. If you don't build these, you'll probably regret it. I'm getting bamboozled.
Oh my god, dude.
As for combat, the game starts very simply. It's rock, paper, scissors, on sea and on land. The game is very centered around these counters. For example, our humble clubman here. He has no armor at all against spearmen. He can only upgrade armor protecting him from other clubmen. The Spearman has base armor from the get-go against them, but can upgrade into more. Armor and damage values increase throughout the ages, so this only gets more important. It just turns into guns and lasers instead of swords and arrows. You upgrade a unit by just clicking a stat to spend resources. The upgrade applies to all units of the same type, and they have a limit of 10 points. Upgrading an aspect like range or attack could be 2 points a pop, whereas something like armor might only be 1 point. So your units can be much more effective at killing their counter, which can get a little more complicated. Civilizations also have unit bonuses. There's even a handy builder so you can make your own and make your friends mad. So you could focus your civ towards a very powerful unit, but it'll still barely tickle its counter. This system might seem okay to you, but it leads into one of the game's biggest flaws: the AI. Besides the random maps, the game has 4 main campaigns to choose from. The Greek campaign is more of a second tutorial about illegally crossing oceans, and I don't ever play it much. The English campaign has a better variety of missions, but the ages it covers are more varied. When you complete missions or side objectives in a game, you get civ points. These carry throughout the campaign, and it's a great idea. Do something more difficult now to make the journey ahead a little easier. This is fine if the setting stays the same. But if you're in the English campaign where the setting jumps from Agincourt to Waterloo, those archer points are wasted now. You need every bit of help you can get. The non-Greek campaigns usually start easy, but then they have a spike of difficulty. The AI will suddenly have a lot of units, fully upgraded too. The AI in this game cheats, and it cheats hard. The best example can be found in the Russian campaign. It takes place in the dark, nightmare future of 2018. The story is a timeless classic. A man wanted by the authorities for having the tallest boots in all of Russia. You make some friends, fight off invaders, it's not too bad. The second mission was one I struggled with for weeks at launch. The campaigns didn't even have difficulties at launch back then, they were patched in later. So I set the game to medium and thought, that was 15 years ago, it can't be that bad. You know, I have all this experience now. There's so many units, and they just don't stop. They just don't stop! I know we are. There are so many enemy ships in the harbor that they're causing a traffic jam. I'd love a prophet to hurricane them, but Russia's orthodox and you can't do that. Most of the campaign is this: non-stop swarms of enemies. The AI makes units for free so you can't hit their economy. You just have to weather the storm until you can smash them. The AI also knows exactly what you're building and most likely where all your units are. They will immediately start building free counters to all your units. You can make all the strategies or cool spellcasting robots you want, it doesn't stop it. You're locked in. The best strategy is to build a death wall to catch all their units. Then you invest into the nuclear program until your problems go away. There's so little room for strategy, it feels more like playing a tower defense game. That's what happens when you give the AI a free pass. What's sad is the Russian campaign is the hardest, but also the most memorable. Grigor, the new Russian leader, gets a Gundam as a bodyguard. Then he names it as the new leader of Russia.
Who shall henceforth be known as Grigor II.
What?
People don't like that idea, but you can't exactly tell the new guy no.
For the people.
So the robot has to defeat a coup, but the coup was a just as planned kind of thing. Then Grigor 1 dies.
Rest easy, my master. I will ensure your dreams do not die here with you.
He invades China, and then he starts to invade Cuba. Then, of course, he wants to wipe out a few million people, so a Russian general wants to stop him, and he's a cyborg, by the way. So then he defects to the United States, where Predator Polly Pocket tells him the only way to stop them is to go back in time. So you go back to the first mission on the other side, but there's nuclear bombers because Grigor 2 is already there, because he later made a time machine but just went back before they used their time machine. So then you have to fight off the future using modern technology, and it's honestly a pretty fitting way to end the campaigns. This is giving you a taste of the random map AI. It cheats in units, resources, and knows what you're up to on every difficulty. It makes all the strategy completely one-sided. Sure, you can raid their mining camps, but it won't affect their economy. You'll be dealing with attack groups no matter what you do. It also doesn't give up or resign, it fights to the last man. The solution to this seems obvious: just play multiplayer. Well, the multiplayer never took off like Age of Empires did, and I think there are 2 key reasons to it. The first big one is pathfinding. Let's do a comparison. Here's Age of Empires 2. Look at all this control I have. I can switch up their formation, move it half a second later, and they adapt. It doesn't matter how many units you have or how diverse they are, they move as one. You can organize and move them effectively. Empire Earth has nearly identical formations, a few more in fact, but look how sloppy they are trying to move into one. They do get it, but it takes significantly longer. Now let's move them. And they're kind of wandering all over. Let's move them around. And you see now it's all messed up. It just doesn't have that responsiveness and smooth organization. Besides not looking elegant, the units can get in these traffic jams. The more units you have in a stack, the higher chance something will go wrong with their pathfinding. This makes it harder to sell as a competitive game. Ocean pathfinding is even worse, even in small groups. The other issue is the speed of the game. Empire Earth matches can go on for hours. With all those resources, you could fight on a long time. You can't just set aside a half an hour for a game, you need to set aside an evening. You could set a starting age for later, but a lot of the strategy is building up. And there are a few ages that feel like filler. In the second age in the game, the Stone Age, you can build a dock and an archery range, compared to one epic later in the Copper Age when you can build all of this. There's about 3 of these epics that don't add a lot and just make the games drag on longer. The variety across all the ages is great, and progressing to the end is what makes it so fun. Going from cavemen to mechs in a single game, getting gunpowder before your neighbors, launching those first few carriers. That's what it's all about. If you're a fan of an era, you could play games centered around them in Empire Earth, but you're missing out. You could just play an RTS game dedicated to that era instead of this one. But wait, what about the expansion? Okay, you remember the big tech tree. Well, here's the expansion. Check out the length of it. It's more like a brochure with no fold-out. I don't have a stapler, but you could kind of staple it onto the end here. There we go. Okay, it's really bad. Art of Conquest was outsourced. It shows. It really shows. There are 3 new campaigns, and a lot of them just don't have any voice acting in the cutscenes. I was reading dialogue, so I thought it could be a bug because there should be sound there. I looked it up and no, working as intended. Then you hear someone wish it was quiet again. It's bad. It's bad bad.
Please spare Mediolanum. We have rejoiced at your great exploits in Gaul, and now that you have defeated Pompey's guard force, we are free to join you. If you show mercy, I will go with you to try and rally other cities to your banner.
Whew. The game finally gets a Roman campaign, and it's this.
I shall let my pets decide. Romulus, Remus, which of these envoys would you like to eat? To the other we shall give aid.
I don't remember Caesar having pet tigers, but what's happening? The worst voice work by far is the new units. Not even the acting, the production values.
At your service, to Elysium.
You can hear static.
At your service, Tribune. Forward the frontier. At your service, Tribune.
They even echo over each other. None of the old units do that.
Vini Vidi Vici. Vini Vidi Vici. Vini Vidi Vici.
Assassination software online. I'll be the ghost in the machine. Hey!
The strangest offender is the new SAS unit. There's a lot that's strange about the model, but listen to him.
Affirmative. Just give the word. I'm on it.
Huh. There are 3 new campaigns this time around, shorter in mission length and the scale of the first game. The maps are actually a lot more interesting design-wise than the first game's base campaigns, but it's counteracted. Most missions are tedious. They range from playing Marco Polo, to island hopping, to this one. The World War II campaign is probably the best, which misses the game's main selling point, the new 15th epic, the Space Age. The campaign teases you with it non-stop. Even when you start on Mars, you're still not in the Space Age. Then you finally make it. You can make automatic farms. I guess that saves some population cap. Then you realize that space is just water retextured. You can't have space and water on the same map. The spaceships are just the boats in different forms. This addition might have been neat if you could have water on the maps too. In this form, it would just keep players separated until the endgame. By removing all the naval options, it actually takes strategy away from the game. No attack submarines, no hunter helicopters, no nuke subs. No boats at all. No thanks. Even without space, they did add a few civilization unique units and some powers. You can even choose one for your custom civilization, but you might not know what a lot of them do. So, you gotta dig out the manual. Or the guide. Wait, that was the wrong manual. The powers are astoundingly poorly balanced. The fact that someone okayed the idea for a priest tower just blows my mind. So the powers range from near useless to game breaking. That's it, that's the expansion. This was about $40 in today's money at launch. Most people who checked it out went back to the base game. You can still find people playing multiplayer, but not with the game alone. You need to download Neo Empire Earth for that. It installs on top of the base game. A word of warning, my computer said there's a Trojan inside of it. Everyone I know who downloads it says that. Now the guy who made it says it's a false positive. It does work without the spooky file, but I still don't like that. Yeah, it's a time-consuming game, even if you use tournament mode, but I still enjoy it. I really wish it got the HD edition treatment the way Age of Empires 2 and Age of Mythology did. Touch it up a bit, fix some bugs and balance things out, but most importantly, bring the multiplayer back. I'm pretty sure that Rebellion still owns the rights to it. I'd love to see it, but I don't know how big the demand would be. It would be nice not to have to jump through hoops just to comp stomp. At the time of this video, GOG is selling it for $2 and at regular is for $6, which is a great price. I didn't cover it in this video, but don't buy the complete series. 2 is okay, but by God, you do not want to play 3. Do not buy 3. That does it for this video. Tune in next time for the first mod video. Thanks for watching. I'm not sure what game will come after this since Elite is in a bind again. Also, big thank you to all the benefactors. This week's questions will be moved into the next game review video. If you backed in June, your name will show up in July. Thank you. They're coming back from my town center. They're actually gonna smack it. Oh my god.